Back in 1967, it was Norm Johnson who started the Del Webb Mint 400. Today, it's called the General Tire Mint 400 here in Las Vegas, Nevada. Ken Stout and Ricky Johnson calling all the action for you with one of the most historic desert races of all time, with some of the biggest names in history that have come out here to compete. We're going to cover a couple different classes, including Class 1 and Class 10. And now, with more on today's event, the first of our two pit reporters.
Welcome to the General Tire Mint 400. Now, if you've never heard of this race or you haven't heard about it in a long time, there's a good reason for that. It hasn't been run in 20 years. You know, this used to be a huge deal. Over 600 vehicles entering in it, people coming from all over the world for this race. Well, some people put their heads together and said it's time to bring it back. And judging by the thousands of people that are out here watching it and the over 300 vehicles that have signed up to race today, I'd say they're off to a great start. Now, let's talk about one of the classes we're going to see out here this afternoon, the Class 1 Unlimited Buggies. The only thing you can't do is run a supercharger or a turbocharger or nitrous. Other than that, you can run any suspension you want and any engine you want. This is going to be awesome. These guys are going to be hauling when they get on that track and run those buggies wide open.
Well, there's a lot more to Nevada than just the Las Vegas Strip. We're out here in the middle of the desert in Primm for the Mint 400. We're going to talk Class 10 open-wheeled buggies. Interestingly, the only limitation they have is they can't run more than 2,000 cc's. You're going to see a lot of Toyotas, a lot of Hondas, and the weight is about 2,000 to 3,000 pounds. So we're talking lots of horsepower and lightweight. These babies are going to be screaming.
Thanks, guys. We'll start off with Class 1. Talk about some incredible vehicles. Out in the desert, these guys usually are the kings. The only ones that can compete with them from time to time would be the unlimited trucks or trophy trucks.
These are basically unlimited trucks without bodies. A lot of them run a differential in the back, so they'll run independent rear suspension. It helps them corner. You'll watch the unlimited trucks have a straight rear end, so a lot of times they work in some conditions, but these Class 1 buggies really get with it down the uneven terrain.
Billy Casper there on the throttle. You can see that suspension working pretty nicely there with the Class 1 car. And a lot of different Class 1 cars out here. Jeff Perkins coming by. Big horsepower, of course, rear engine or mid-engine, if you'd like to call it that. Steve Raskin. And these vehicles making upwards of 800, 850 horsepower.
Pretty much everybody in this class is running a V8, whether it be Ford or Chevy. A couple Dodges out there, and also a couple Toyotas. But the majority is they'll run the LS series, LS1 through LS7.
This section of the course, as you can see, pretty docile, but there are some huge washouts throughout the 100-mile lap that they'll make here today. That was a good look at Jeff Perkins, who's in the top 10. This is Steve Raskin.
Steve Raskin, number 111. You can see the suspension all working independently of themselves. You can hear that big V8 as well.
You'll also see that all these drivers have a co-driver. Billy Casper has come in. It looks like they might be having some issues with the car. Also going to put some fuel inside of it as well while they're in there.
Impact!
We're good.
Billy Gasper rolls into the pits, screaming at the crew. He said, check that right rear tire. He said, I hit a big rock a while back. I don't know what's wrong with it. The Goodyear tire failed on him, so they got to swap it out, get him back on track.
Why I tell you, you see that they come out there with an impact wrench and, of course, compressed air inside of the tank a little differently than what you would see at a NASCAR race. Of course, they don't have all the amenities out here in the middle of the desert.
Cam Ferrier in that bright orange buggy. You can't miss him out there.
All right, we're starting off here with the Class 10 category.
Class 10, you notice they run a little bit more narrow tire. Also, it's all about momentum. Listen to the RPM when they take off, Ken.
2,000cc power plants are very versatile once they get them wound up. They do make good horsepower. Will Hickman there. You can also see a lot of suspension inside of these vehicles. They are very durable.
If you watch the lap times on the Class 10, very, very close. They'll split maybe a minute or two. You know, sometimes we have these races where they'll finish 1 to 2 seconds apart. So it's all about momentum. These are lightweight vehicles, basically like the formula cars of off-road. You can see the little narrow, but listen to the RPM.
Very nice right there as we go back to C.J. Hutchins. Great. I mean, if you looked at it from the front, you might think it was a Class 1 car, but obviously drastically different when it comes to horsepower and the power plants in the back. and even the suspension as well.
A lot of the rule changes, they're very, very close to a Class 1 car. You're right on that aspect. That you notice the narrower tire because weight is a major, major factor. You got to keep these things light and agile.
Line off somewhere. It's got to go further back. Larry Schmeezer rolls into the pits right down here. An issue with the shifter link. He's got the whole crew on it. Everybody's working on this thing.
It's a piston. So either he's got a line off somewhere.
The daylight's burning. They need to get on this thing and get it back on the track.
It's got to go further back.
They're trying to diagnose the problem there and getting back out on the track. Debbie Tappert goes sailing by. There's always a couple of people that have a perfect day. It's hard to beat those. And in Class 1, Harley Lettner has a 2-minute lead, but take a look at Class 10. First and second place separated by just 3 seconds. That's after 100 miles of competition. Of course, they have 300 miles more to go, and we'll bring you that when we come back. Welcome back to the General Tire Mint 400 here in Las Vegas, Nevada, actually just outside, down around Prim. And another good look here at the vehicles as we pick up the action. And lap 2, Jeff Perkins, and that one sounded a little weird.
Sounded a little off right there. Jeff hurt really hard off that last jump. He could have knocked the plug wire off, could be many things.
Chris Wright, that's a Class 10 car there. You can hear the much smaller engine, the power plant back there, not to exceed 2,000 cc's. And Robert Macbeth, part of the Macbeth family, they also have a unlimited truck out here in competition today as well.
Listen to the RPM on that Class 10 car. Here we got another Class 1, Jim Temple. You got to be careful going through this section. It's very, very technical, a lot of big bumps, but it sounds like he's having a little bit of mechanical problems.
Harley Lettner, our leader, and boy, you can see why. He is on the throttle right there.
Harvey running really, really strong. You can see that the guys always have to look way forward. Here we're looking at Steve Fuller in Class 10. Steady go.
And we're hearing that Chris Wright has pulled into the pits. Apparently he has some issues. Matter of fact, he's climbing out of the car. Let's go down the Matt Steele.
Chris Wright coming into the pits. Looking like everything was going fine, man. You having any problems or what?
There was a bunch of cars stuck in a pit back over here, and about 3 cars ahead of us, we got stuck behind them, and then we got cars slid in behind us and got up on top of us.
A little bit of everything out there, RJ. You wouldn't expect to see a welder out here in the middle of the desert.
They're throwing out a little bit more water. Jim Temple out there running hard down the front straightaway. And now we're watching Todd Welling once again through the technical section. You can really stub your toe. Even though this is short and everybody can see it, you got to make sure that you don't go pulling a wheel off.
Courtney Whipple sailing through here. You can see the dust here, and that is a racer's worst enemy out here in the desert. They actually groom it. They put some water down where they can on this track. We go into the pits, and it looks like Steve Fuller's team working frantically on that one, trying to get it refueled.
Guys, finally, some more good news in the pits. They roll in. All they had to do was fuel up, and they're back on the trail.
That's a perfect scenario. How often does that happen, RJ?
Not too often. Everything can happen when you're out there, you know, especially here down in Prim. It's very rocky, very dusty, and with a multiple lap race, sometimes you don't know if you're chasing a lap driver or somebody in your competition in the same class.
Also had a chance to see the backside of some of the markers that are out there for these drivers. Now, they all pre-run these courses. They have GPSs, they set waypoints, but it's always nice to have the markers out there.
Every lap, the track changes a little bit. So it's good to have the GPS, but you're more driving by memory.
There's one of those markers, the orange marker there on the right side of your screen. Jim Temple coming through here. That is a Class 1 car. And for the folks there at home, if you see the numbers, like a 102 or a 110, whatever the case may be, those are Class 1s. When it gets to the 1000s, those are the Class 10s.
Number 1002, Steve Fuller, running steady all day long. We heard from our pit reporter earlier saying no problems with that 1002 car.
Sponsorship. Here comes a Class 1 car. Listen to the big horsepower. Actually, it looks like he might be trying to pass possibly a Class 8 or an unlimited truck, but Harley Lettner doing some tough stuff there.
Harley Lettner running really, really strong.
He is on top of the class right there with TJ Flores. And again, you can see there's got just about a minute and change on him. Higman and Hutchins still going at it, but now Higman has stretched out that lead to a couple of minutes. Come on back. More action here from the Mint 400. The General Tire Mint 400. Good look at a Class 10 car right there. We're going into lap number 3. 200 miles complete, 200 to go.
Steve Raskett running really, really strong out there. Here we're watching Jeff Perkins. Now, Ken, if a driver can adjust his line by a couple feet to the left or to the right and not hang a wheel out and get knocked off by a rock, he can make up a lot of time. You can see how bad the silt is getting these last couple laps.
Jeff Perkins into 5th place, by the way, up from 6th. Danny Preston being watched here. Another Class 10 car. Pulls the gear right there. A nice move to the left-hander. You don't want to get too much of that silt. You can hear it really pulls that engine down, and that's what can cost you a lot of times. We take a look at Courtney.
Courtney Whipple, listen to the RPM in the Class 10 car.
Boy, that was awesome, pulling the gear through there as well. Nick Lyon now making a run, and his co-driver looking over as well.
Co-driver will be letting them know what turns are coming up, how much further, if it's a 90, if it's a 180, whatever it is, so they can make sure that they can keep the momentum up and keep them Class 10 cars rolling.
Dave Terrell there, a little rebound on the shock setup right there as he landed pretty hard, back on board with our leader in the Class 1 car.
You can see the drivers can't really see much further than probably, sometimes 10, 20 feet in front of the bumper. It's like driving in fog. But also remember, the course is turning to the left and to the right, and also other drivers are knocking rocks in your way. So it's pretty stressful on the drivers.
3rd place right now for Steve Raskett, and these Class 1 cars are not afraid to run in excess of 120, 30 miles an hour out here in the desert.
TJ Flores running really, really strong, has a good momentum going. You notice he's trying to downside the bumps, trying to stay on top of the really, really big stuff.
Kind of out of the ruts right there, splitting the difference for C.J. Hutchins and trying to get it gathered up just a little bit. Man, it looks a little squirrely out there. He's pushing about as hard as he knows how, and will sail in here to the pits for Steve Raskett. Raskett on the throttle hard, then on the brake hard.
All right, as you see, it's time for a driver change. The current drivers have driven over tough terrain for over 230 miles. Now Mark and Jake are going to take over the next 170 miles to the finish.
Kind of a lengthy pit stop here to make driver changes, huh, RJ?
Well, there's a lot going on. It's not just like, in Le Mans and stuff where you just think that everything is, time is of the essence. You have to be smart. Smooth is fast when it comes to driving and pit changes.
Boy, a wild ride there after landing off of that jump. There's a look at Deerdorf. Deerdorf with a lot of steering input trying to get that one to rotate. Will Hickman in the Class 10 car. Standing on the throttle.
Cam Theriot is running really, really strong in the Class 1 car. We were watching Will Higman earlier. He's up to 3rd position.
Todd Bauman. And Bauman up and over the jump, and there's a look at the silt in that Class 1 car. With all that horsepower, just sails right through it.
That's Harvey Lettner running very, very strong out front. Here we take another look at Steve Raskett.
Raskett running in 3rd place with a nice run, but having a hard time catching Harley, who's having a perfect day as we take a look at Rick Lance. All right, we're going to pause now for our Lucas Oil Product Spotlight.
You come out here to the General Tire Mint 400 and you see Lucas Oil banners flying all over the place. You see the racers using the products. It's simple. Lucas Oil works. Take, for example, the power steering stop leak. This is guaranteed to stop.
Out here, it'll work anywhere. There's a look at the Class 1 results right now after 3 laps completed. That is 300 miles. C.J. Hutchins still on top of the Class 10 cars and stretching the lead out. Come on back for the final lap. Cam Theriot right there with the Class 1 car out here trying to make a run at it today, currently in 3rd place as he has taken that over from Steve Raskett.
Todd Welling seems to be getting faster and faster each lap. Here we're seeing number 100, TJ Flores. Motor sounds just a little bit off.
Yeah, it looked like a puff of smoke, too. Steve Raskett, who was having a good run up in 3rd place, now has fallen back into 7th place. So it's struggled a little bit here in the last couple of moments.
Todd Welling moving up to 5th place from 7th place. Todd having a great run in the 113.
Listen to this. Just big horsepower to these guys. Look at that suspension going to work.
Jeff Perkins now up to 4th place from 5th. Jeff having a really strong run out here at the Mint.
Harley Littner coming into a real rough section right there and making it look easy. Gets out of the throttle, just kind of dances down through there as we go back to Todd Welling.
Harley Littner has now dropped to 2nd place. This is the first time all day that he's been out of the 1st place position. But here we're watching Todd Welling just running really, really strong.
When you talked about Harley Littner falling back to 2nd place, this is a guy that got around him, TJ Flores, and this one doesn't sound 100%, but he's out in the front right now.
Cam Theriot rounding out the top 3. Cam running really strong. You can always see that Dayglow orange buggy coming from a mile away.
Again, Cam in 3rd place there, and yeah, if you can't find that one, man, you're blind.
5th place is Todd Welling running very strong. The track gets rougher and rougher, but you know what? A lot of times you'll see the lap times improve because the drivers know their way around every turn.
Good look at everybody out here in competition. A lot of these guys just digging down deep. Steve Raskett again, man, look at the speed he's carrying out here.
Steve is back in 7th place, but Steve is one of the drivers that has looked fast every time he's been on the camera.
Just kind of listen to that. That sounds awesome. There's a guy in a little love buggy saying, please don't kill me now.
Yeah, if you ever want to know what it feels like to be a soccer ball, be driving one of those buggies and have a Class 1 car come up behind you.
Slinging rocks, no doubt, spitting them off to the side, spitting them out of the back. But when it was all said and done, after 4 laps and 400 miles complete, it's TJ Flores who got the win by a little more than 1 minute over Harley Littner. Let's talk to the winner.
TJ, congratulations, man. Everybody's smacking you on the back. Everybody's as happy as you are, I would imagine, about this big win.
Yeah, it's been a long week. We've been racing this car like 2 series, so it's like the 4th race this year. It's every 2 weeks, and we hurt the motor in San Felipe. We didn't get it run until like 11 o'clock Thursday night, and then had problems on Friday. So I got 3 miles of testing. So first lap was test. I had to throw a belt off, and that was about it all day. I just drove around.
Now, what do you think was the key to it out here today? If there was one thing or 2 things that really made the difference for you out here today?
Patience. Passing a lot of cars. We passed a lot of cars, and we were really, really patient, just waited for them to move so we didn't make a mistake and get flats, and so we can be here first.
Hey, Mint 400 coming back, man. Big win for you. It's got to feel good, right?
It's probably one of my most memorable right now, so I'm really happy. It ain't even sink in yet.
Well, apparently it was just fine because he brought home a win. Who's going to win in Class 10? Come on back, we'll find out. Herculiner truck bed liners. When the tough come easy. We're stirring up the dust in Nevada with a General Tire Mint 400. We're going to find out who wins in Class 10. As a look at the Class 1 cars, they have completed their run here today. We'll go back to Class 10. Of course, 2,000cc power plants inside of these. Debbie making her way around lap 4, 300 miles complete as they work on 400.
Unbelievable focus by both the co-driver and the driver. Here we're watching 3rd place, Courtney Whipple, running very, very strong. Listen to the RPMs once again. It's all about momentum, Ken. You got to keep these Class 10s on the pipe and listen how the silt will drag them down.
Also impressed, she was hard on the brakes before she got to the turn so she could pick up the throttle through the turn and get through there as efficiently as possible.
You know, we're watching the one part of the course where it's not that dusty. We don't really see the drivers in that much traffic, but as you can see the guys going by. There's a lot of other classes on the track at the same time as these guys, so right now we're getting the best view for the racing, but in the back they are running into a lot of traffic and a lot of silt.
C.J. Hutchins out there in that silt right now. You can see some areas of the track that have been watered down to try and help out with the dust. This not one of those areas, and when you pull up behind somebody in one of these areas, it's very, very difficult to see.
Michael Deerdorf from 5th, up to 5th from 6th place. Earlier we saw our current leader, C.J. Hutchins, running very strong right now. Robert Macbeth running 2nd.
Yeah, Macbeth having a great run up from 3rd. Rick Poole now out there, and you can see a little different suspension setup there for that one. And when it was all said and done, C.J. Hutchins gets the win here by a little over 20 minutes over Robert Macbeth and Courtney Whipple.
CJ, congratulations.
Thank you.
It's It's very rough terrain out there. Tell me about the race.
That was definitely one of the most rough races we run all year. Krieger 10 car held together awesome, withstood the beating the whole way. Pretty much had a good day. We had a couple flats early on, and after that we had our game plan, just cruise around and keep going, and we stuck to it and paid off in the end. Here we are, first place.
Hey, make sure you log on to newwavetv.com to find out where the Terry's RV and the OTE crew is headed to next. For Jean-Pierre, Matt Steele, and my colleague Ricky Johnson, I'm Ken Stout. Hope you had a great time watching the General Tire Mint 400. We'll see you next time.